Christine Collins. Welcome to Writers Reading. This program is brought to you as a public service presentation of WPRG TV5 Harold, Kentucky. We're taping today at the York Mansion in Pikeville, and our special guest is Mr. Gayle Compton. Gayle, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Ernestine.
Would you like to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Okay, the people who read the Appalachian News Express, Acquire magazine, and various other periodicals for the past 15 to 20 years probably know my name, and this may be the first time they've seen my face, and perhaps the last. But I do satire, and I also do some serious work, which maybe in 2 sessions we can get that in. But what I'd like to do today is introduce myself by way of an introductory piece, which I call Welcome to Peabrook. Now, my type of writing is not necessarily understood or appreciated by every member of perhaps of this audience or any other audience. Satire is often misconstrued and misunderstood. And Mark Twain is probably my greatest mentor. I think he had some sound advice when he said, get the facts first, then distort them all you want. I've done that. I've been doing that for a long time. Not to great success, but who knows, maybe it will pay off later on. My Peabrook characters, the Peabrook setting, Peabrook, Kentucky, you won't find it on the map. Peabrook is my fictitious name for Jonancy, Kentucky. Hi, Jonancy. Yeah. And some of the neighbors up there have begun to call this place Peabrook. Peabrook is Jonancy. It's my hometown. It's my Hannibal. It's my London. It's my raison d'etre. The characters there are real people. Of course, I have embellished these characters, made them into fiction and poetry, and I've done, or at least attempted to do, what Sherwood Anderson did with Clyde, Ohio, when he wrote Winesburg, Ohio. He did a series of stories, and his subjects were grotesque. He called them grotesque because the people were different. The people in Peabrook are also different. And I have used those idiosyncrasies in some of my stories. Also, Edgar Lee Masters and Spoon River Anthology did much the same thing. So does Garrison Keeler, or Keller, however you pronounce his name, did that in the Lake Will Be Gone stories. So, welcome to Peabrook. Let me welcome you to Peabrook in this piece, and perhaps in another session, I'll welcome you to some of my more literary stuff. This is an address before a local gathering of youth who have modestly requested anonymity. It's been my experience that when a person is elected to speak to a group like this, he will stand up and sweat and scratch and lie and say what an honor and a privilege it is to be here. Now, the good book teaches us that it's a sin to lie in church, so I'm not going to lie to you if I can help it. It's indeed a privilege for me to be here, a rare privilege, since it's the first time I've ever been to Sunday school. I've been to grade school, high school, graduate school, traffic school, and reform school. But I've never been to Sunday school in my life till now. Well, I've been sent to Sunday school 1,000 times, but this is the first time I've ever arrived. When my mother found out I was coming over here, she was just tickled to death. She got her hopes up again. She told me to behave myself and try to act like a human. She told me to take a bath, comb my hair, and spray some of that good-smelling stuff under my armpits. She said if I played hooky this time, she'd take a limb to me when I got home. Yes, I'm Gayle Compton, the good poet of Peabrook. Peabrook, Kentucky, population 301, when Dry John Elliott is not in jail. In case you haven't been to Peabrook, either in real life or vicariously through my writings, Peabrook is an idyllic, mystical Appalachian community. Peabrook's peaceful landscape is invaded by the CSX Railroad and 1 mile of crooked US 23 one-lane highway, last paved during the Eisenhower administration. Peabrook has a Gertie's Grocery Feed and Gun Store, Butcher Bob's Barber Shop, specializing in the crew cut and the bow, a beauty shop offering the Beehive in less than 4 hours, the post office, Vern Sloan's Ashland Station and Pizza Parlor, and Brother Bill Dick Robinson's True Gospel Church of the Heavenly Bound. The chief industries of Peabrook are knife swapping, poker, bootlegging, rooster fighting, yard sales, and the Kentucky Lottery. Peabrookians live contentedly in a scattering of 4 and 5 room houses, double wides, single wides, and 3 or 4 school buses, and a Greyhound nicely painted and complete with tin underpinning, CB antenna, and satellite dish. It's a community whose botanical ingenuity and original landscaping catches the eye. The yards are tastefully adorned with whitewashed trees, bird baths, windmills, painted wagon wheels wrapped in morning glories, and an occasional old bathtub, washing machine, or automobile tire in which geraniums have been planted, spilling into a rhapsody of blooms over the sides. The premises of the more well-to-do in Peabrook may be distinguished by many rooster barrels and dog kennels. One standing in the community may be determined by the number of same. For example, a man with more than 200 rooster barrels or 12 dog boxes in his yard is unquestionably a member of the upper social strata. He is either the magistrate or the mayor or a likely candidate for such an office. The citizens of Peabrook are always kind to their animals, living in fellowship and harmony with the cock and the hound. Handsome sums are spent in the acquisition of fine stock and pedigree, and nothing is spared in their upkeep. The rooster and the dog are often welcomed into the dwellings of their owners. The less sociable rooster, visiting with less regularity, perhaps on account of the dogs. The canine adapt well to the indoor environment, accepting such charity with much satisfaction and gratitude, especially those without hair. Transportation is a matter of pride in Peabrook. Every family is a two-car family. They have one car up on cement blocks in the front yard, usually a 55 Chevy or 71 Pinto. A second vehicle is used for trips to the flea market, to church, to the courthouse, to Pikeville on the first of the month, and to annual Black and Tan Days in Bumblebee, Arkansas. The typical family chariot is a four-wheel drive Jimmy with a gun rack and a dog box, or a 1972 El Camino with a homemade wooden bed, orange bug knocker, rebel flag in the rear window, and a bumper sticker that says, "Honk if you love Jesus." The citizens of Peabrook are a gentlemanly class, mainly government retirees, some having reached that status at the enviable age of 21. The women play a vital social role, more significant than the rooster, the dog, or other livestock. They serve, coddle, and attend to their men as the gentlemen they are. They frequently serve them breakfast in bed and carry them beer, pizza, and other necessities while they watch wrestling or Roland Martin on TV. The housewives of Peabrook can cook, sew, hoe corn, or skin a groundhog. They can change oil in the four-wheel drive, tune a banjo, and dance everything from the Cotton Eye Joe to the St. Vitus. Although Peabrookians live sumptuously, they are a society that cannot be criticized as being lazy. They are actively involved in many civic and philanthropic organizations such as the Bass Club, National Rifle Association, ABC, AA, and the Kentucky Game Fowl Breeders Association. Neither may the good people of Peabrook be accused of being impunctual. They rise without fail every morning between 10 and 11 o'clock, except on weekends when they feel they've earned the right to sleep late. Outsiders, people from Michigan, Lexington, and Williamson, have coldly regarded Peabrook as a place where there is nothing to do and nowhere to go. This is an exaggeration born of envy. The following is a list of only a few pastimes and forms of recreation enjoyed in Peabrook. Sitting in the front porch swing reading Metro Piston. Watching the train go by. Drinking. Rooster fighting. Coon hunting. Frogging. Waxing the Harley. Sitting on the railroad bridge throwing rocks in the creek. Overhauling the El Camino. Whittling. Looking up the road. Looking down the road. Drinking. Women. Watching wrestling. Collecting hubcaps. Stealing hubcaps. Shooting rats at the garbage dump. Sitting up with the dead. Listening to Buck Owens on 8-track. And talking about looking for a job. Yes, Peabrook, Kentucky is the setting for nearly all of my writing. I would like to write about other places, but I've never been anywhere else except to the Smokies, the Breaks, Clintwood, and Detroit, Michigan, where me and my cousin Eugene got put in jail for trying to hijack a Greyhound bus to Pike County. But my writing appears with alarming regularity in an Appalachian Heritage magazine, a Choir, and other periodicals that carry good libel insurance. My inspired prose and poetry is on varied and eclectic themes. The following are some synopses of some of the more popular stories, many of which contain recognizable religious undertones, and therefore are suitable for Sunday school and the general edification of youth. There is the uplifting story of Dry John Elliott and how he got compensation in Social Security, pulled his back lifting the case of beer the wrong way. The inspirational story of Greyhound Sweeney, a true man of faith who prayed for black lung and got it, along with a new Cadillac and a pool table. The sad tale of Willie Boy Jones, who got run over by a manure spreader down around Moorhead, and how nobody came to his funeral. And there's the engaging story of Versie Sweeney, who got her left mammary caught in the wringer of a new Maytag washing machine, and how Brother Tick Cameron just happened along, Tick, who was blessed suddenly with a gift of healing and the laying on of hands. And then there's the poignant narrative of my good and obedient wife, and how hard she works, and how I try to help her all I can. It's an account of the time that she was on top of the house patching the roof while I had the more crucial job of holding the ladder. Through no fault of mine, she fell off. On the way down, her false teeth came out, and she landed on them. She bit a hunk out of her own rear end. And there's the thought-provoking anecdote of Purvis Mullins, who was so deathly afraid of germs, he went 7 years without washing his feet. He was afraid of what might be in the water. And then the compelling yarn about the time my younger brother Teddy Dale caught the mange off Greyhound Sweeney's dog. How, alas, all his hair came out except a little strip above his ears like an old man's. How he wore a billed cap the entire summer of '59. Our brother Harless Dameron tried on him. How Sister Carleen Spradlin cured him finally with sulfur and lard and used motor oil. And of course the heartwarming story of my own struggles in grade school at Peabrook. How I had to overcome many adversities. How I was able to elude the truant officer for a year and a half, till I was pinned finally, along with Flathead Earl Adkins, Puny Blankenship, and Hemorrhoid Johnson under the pool table at Candy Jack's. And then there's everyone's favorite, If Faith Can Move Mountains, the painful account of my constipated grandmother, and how with the help of the good Lord and a half a barrel of milk of magnesia, she got out of a bind. There are many, many other stories and essays, but they are of a more graphic, explicit, and entertaining nature, which, if perceived in the wrong light, could give a bad impression of Peabrook and her people, thus injuring the town's chances of becoming a model community someday. These same stories have been highly popular with lawyers, Sunday school superintendents, and members of the clergy. However, they have not yet been inculcated into a general curriculum of the Sunday school, which, in my opinion, contradicts and stymies the whole scientific approach to education. The only way to examine a germ is under the microscope, and the only way to understand and appreciate iniquity is to see some good examples of it. And Peabrook, my hometown, is rife with specimens of the highest caliber.
Are these names real, or did you make them up?
Of course, we talked about good libel insurance. I would need some libel insurance of my own, probably some life insurance if these names were real. No, these names are fictitious.
Do they still allow you to come back to Peabrook?
I've been living there in somewhat in anonymity for 20 years, off and on. And the people there either don't read what I write, or they have not recognized themselves yet. But I have written a few things that are of such a pyrotechnic nature. For example, an article that I did on the snake bite. Can I bring this up again, people? Here I go again. It was 2 weeks before Halloween, and my house by the side of the road was egged prodigiously with by some vandals who might have been disgruntled about something I had written. It seemed like a propitious time for this to happen.
Well, people are what they are, and they shouldn't be ashamed of what they are, and if you write about them, they should be honored.
Well, that's what my contention is, that I write about what is out that window. And my intention is a threefold purpose. First of all, I write to what I call traduce or pillory, and that means to hold something up for observation, not necessarily for ridicule, because my second purpose is to expose some of these things that are considered stereotypical. I'm opposed to ignorance, of course. I don't think ignorance should be excused in any fashion. But I am all for Route 66, and I'm for education reform. I'm for some rhetorical strategies to teach these people who don't know how to write, who don't know how to read, to teach them these strategies. And hopefully, there are some things that I can preserve through satire. One of those things is, it's almost like artifacts. There are certain characteristics, idiosyncrasies, speech patterns that are pure strain from Nordic and Germanic language. We also have Appalachian affectation where we completely ignore the linguistic alphabet. We don't take the diphthong seriously. We say Pikeville instead of Pikeville, and we say oil instead of oil. I used to cringe as an English major and as a radio announcer. I used to really cringe when I heard those things, but I don't anymore, because they're going to disappear, because there is a movement afloat to homogenize the way we think, the way we live, the way we dress. And I think some of this needs to be preserved, and that's really my intention.
Well, I try to preserve it in the way I talk.
Thank you. I do too, to an extent.
You have been a very interesting guest. Thank you for being on the show.
Thank you.
I want to thank Gayle Compton for being on the show, and Dr. Don for allowing us to come to you. Until next week, may God bless you.